The reason why heart, head, and hustle are so essential to increasing revenue is because they actually follow the healthy trajectory of a business. It's heart is all about culture. Heading is always all about not just vision, but the strategy on how you're going to execute that vision. And then hustle is that relentless discipline.
Welcome back to the Waves Business Coaching Podcast. On this episode, I interview my friend Clay Vaughan. Clay is a founder, CEO, and he's got a brand new book out called Velocity. You can get the book at velocitybook.com. We walk through his framework on how businesses can create a velocity flywheel where their businesses can grow infinitely and scale infinitely, have better people working for them, close more deals, build a business for good, like his business, Good Agency. It is an amazing conversation with Clay, diving into some stuff that, hey, you can get some of the book frameworks for free here on the podcast if you listen. Amazing conversation with Clay. He's a great guy, great friend. I wrote a book called Master Your First Job, The Remarkable Path from First Day to First Promotion. This is the book that every young employee needs and every employer wishes that they had. I will give you a free copy of the book if you go to masteryourfirstjob.com/free. That's masteryourfirstjob.com/free. I'll give you a free digital copy of the book. And if you're like me, you want to highlight, dog ear, use a bookmark. If you like paper like me, you can also buy it on that link as well if you want a paperback. But if you want it for free, masteryourfirstjob.com/free. I'll give you a free e-copy of the book. Let's dive into my conversation with my friend Clay. Clay Vaughan, thanks so much for being on the Waves Business Coaching Podcast. I'd love for you to share a little bit about you and your story.
Man, well, Jacob, thank you so much for making the time for me and for inviting me onto the show. It's an honor. I honestly have been looking forward to this, and we intentionally delayed me coming onto this show because we were talking about it in the summer. And I don't know when this is airing, but I've been looking forward to this, to say the least. But now is the time. We are ready.
I'll say your book will be out by the time this airs. So
fantastic.
You're a published author, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. I love it. Well, yeah, I'm Clay Vaughan. I have been running an agency since 2008. I've been in the film and television space. I've been in the investing space. I have built and sold companies, and I just have so much fun doing that. I am a dad and a husband. I've got two amazing boys, and at the time of this podcast, that's 9 and 5, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I first got into business, I had this desire to bring just integrity into a space that early on I'd seen was lacking it. And so that's what I do. And I have had so much fun doing it.
I just see you as very young and successful. And I'm like,
well,
I try to peel back the layers. Yeah. And I've just really admire you from afar. And so I'm glad we've gotten to connect, and I got to be on Your Good Business podcast. And, we've met through StoryBrand. Let me start here because this will be a tangent that was not related. By the time this airs, the Christmas season will have passed. But I think an interesting thing I heard, I think I was in a conversation next to you and heard someone talking about, oh yeah, Clay has like a Christmas theme park. I'm like, what? And so I got to ask you about it. Tell me about the Christmas Village. What led to the creation of this? I'm like, you do so much. Before we dive into your new book and stuff, but the Christmas Village, talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, first off, it is not a Clay only thing.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not even my brainchild. So one of my clients had sold their business, and I sold my business, or one of my businesses, and they came to me, Spencer and Katie Covey, and they came over and they said, hey, we've had this dream for a while and we found the land. Can you help us raise the capital? Or are you interested in joining in?
Yeah.
And so we talked about it for, I don't know, 3 to 4 months. And I proofed out the project, and I said, yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it. And so Spencer and Katie have been the ones who have been pushing it for the past 3 years. With everything from land acquisition. We got 50 plus acres right off of Interstate 45, just north of Houston. And we wanted to just make an amazing place that would be a family tradition, that would create amazing memories during one of the most special times of the year. I'm a huge Christmas nerd.
Same.
I start playing Christmas music in October because
Okay.
why not, right?
Why not?
My wife Emily and I, we kind of have a tug of war on when we put the Christmas tree up. I'm of the mindset that November 1st you can put it up. I know I'm probably gonna make some waves there, but and then the theory is before Super Bowl you have to take it down. That's my theory.
That's fair. That's plenty of time. Yeah. I mean, that's a full quarter of a Christmas tree.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, you can only do that if you have a fake one, for sure. And that's
Yes.
another pet peeve of mine. But you know what? We want to have it for a while, so we can't go full authentic tree. But yeah, Christmas Village. We opened up in mid November of 25 for the very first time, and leading up to it, we were absolutely just stunned at how many pre-sale tickets we had had. We had had
Right.
without doing any advertising except for we built this building to house our 20-foot by 20-foot like artistic signage that I
Cool.
designed the logo, and I don't really normally do the logos, but we did this and we had 15,000 pre-sale tickets
Wow.
before we even opened, and our goal was like 17,000 tickets sold for the first year. Needless to say, huge success. It's something that we saw blue ocean and we ran for it, and so excited about it.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm like you. And who are the other people involved?
We've pulled in a lot of just retirees who are like, "Hey, this is a smart investment.
Yeah.
Let's put some money behind it." And a lot of really talented folks
Yeah.
who have brought skill sets. I mean, millions of lights and trains and coffee shops, and I mean,
Yep.
it's been full. And I mean, the vision is so amazing. I mean, amphitheater for live music so that we can have it year round and do country music festivals and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
I mean, it's super fun, super fun.
I love that. It makes me want one north of Atlanta, where I live.
Well, you can always just,
Hey,
it's a very cheap flight to come on over
there
to
you
Houston.
go.
I mean, it is a
It
Texas
is
tradition now, so you have to
a
come.
Texas tradition. There you
Yeah.
go. I love it. Clay, I read a book called Master Your First Job, The Remarkable Path from First Day to First Promotion. I would love to ask you, what was your first job?
Man, my first job. Okay. So I'll give you two answers
Okay.
because my first real like W-2 job was working
Yeah.
as a junior counselor at Frontier Camp in East
Okay.
Texas. I was 15, I want to say.
Okay.
And so I spent the summer working out there, and I really enjoyed doing that for several summers in a row. But prior to that, my dad actually gave me a loan, and it was a very bad terms on that loan. I had to give every dollar that I made. I had to give it to him before I could
Okay.
actually keep it in cash.
There
But
you go.
he made his money back, and it was zero interest. It was fantastic. But he gave me $1,000 loan when I was, I want to say 14. He and I had been looking through the Northern Tool magazine, and he's like, Clay, look at this surface cleaner that you can hook up to a power washer. You can knock out a driveway super fast. And I was like, that's cool. How much can I charge? You could probably charge $60 per driveway. We ended up charging a lot more than
Yeah,
that. And so I started my own company, and my dad helped me get it going. And he didn't really have that entrepreneur background, but he wanted to enable that in his
that's
kids.
cool.
So I started splash power washing. One of my buddies started a sign business, and I put signs out on the corners, and I'd go door knocking. That's where I learned sales back when, I mean, looking, I would not let my kids do that now because the world is a scary place now. But yeah, I went door knocking and I said, "Hey, your house looks really dirty. Can I clean it?" And I mean, the answer was typically yes. So I was a very busy kid, not just during the summers, but year round doing that. So that was my first job.
That's cool. Get on your dad too to enable that of,
Oh yeah.
hey, you have this inkling. I mean, like, hey, go do it. Go. I just think it's good to instill in our kids to, hey, go build a work ethic. Go work hard. You know. I've said my daughter's 3, and so I have a long way to go. But I'm like, whatever she wants to do, I just want to enable it. Like she's taken an interest to music, like even at a young age,
Mm,
and I'm like, I'm gonna buy a piano and learn how to play piano. Like that's I just want to have it in the house and whatever she wants. I just want to like tools, resources, buy in. Like I want you to have all of it. Whatever you want to do, I'm all in.
yeah.
So
Oh, I
good
love
on
it.
your dad. I talk about in the book. My parents made me go get a job at Chick-fil-A. I wanted to work at a golf course. They didn't call me back, and they're like, "Nope. If you're gonna drive, even though it's for school, you're gonna have a job and you're gonna work 30 hours a week." And
Absolutely.
I'm very
We are
grateful.
producers, not consumers.
That's
That's
right.
the term that I use in my household. So
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. And you've got two boys growing up.
Yeah.
Clay, you are a published author. Your book Velocity. What was the official release date of Velocity?
January
January 12th.
2026.
I love
Official
it.
release date. Yeah.
I
You can go
love
get
it.
it on Amazon right now. I'm a firm believer. If you learn more about it, velocitybook.com.
velocitybook.com. That'll be linked down below. You can buy it on Amazon. What led you to want to write the book? What's the
Oh
book
man.
about? Give me the you learned sales at a young age. Give me the pitch. What's Velocity about?
Yeah. Well, so the reality is I have helped a lot of businesses. I mean, over the years, I've worked with several hundred and I've seen what to do, what not to do. Throughout my career, I've had the chance to be CEO of several other companies as well as the companies that I started. And so I've had a lot of fun and I've learned a lot. And there was this moment back in, gosh, I've been thinking about writing this book for a really long time, and I had been jotting down in my Apple Notes app and random scratch paper all over my desk. And there was this moment. It was a random Tuesday morning in March of last year, and I got 5 emails over the course of, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they were all really powerful. And I won't go into all of them, but one of them was, "Hey Clay, I just want to say thank you. We had launched a Google Ads campaign for this commercial paving company Friday, and this is Tuesday. And they said, hey, we just got a Google ad lead, and they have closed and are wiring the money today, and it's a $500,000 deal." And I was like, "Well, that's cool. Awesome. Let's
Yeah.
let's keep this up. Let's keep doing
Yeah.
it." I got another email from the gal who brilliant lady who heads up PR for our higher tier accounts, and she said, "Hey, we just landed the CEO of a nonprofit. We just landed her a Fox News morning show interview,
Very
and
cool.
that resulted in a massive, like, global impact for that
Yeah.
nonprofit." I also got an email from one of our other clients that I'd been coaching through their sales team on how to improve their conversion rate, and they had been doing around 12% conversion. And for any of the leads that were coming in, about 12% of those were turning into customers. And over that previous month, we had made some significant changes, and they had not seen a drop in leads, but they had jumped from 12% to around 30%. And so I was just getting these wins back and forth, back and forth. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this imposter syndrome that's been plaguing me for the past few years needs to go away, because it's not about me anymore. It's about the people that need to hear how I did this so that their companies can see those same results. And so it's not just by sheer happenstance that all of those wins happened. It was because we were following a specific framework, a specific formula that I had developed over years. I've stepped in, and now I've got several of my team members, and now I've trained a dozen or so additional folks on this framework, and that's just going to continue to grow on how to actually be a fractional revenue leader in an organization. Because most businesses under 50 million in revenue, they really don't need a full-time sales manager. They really don't need a full-time marketing manager or a CMO or a CRO. They don't need that, because the concept of a CMO or CRO is to come up with all these ideas to go and execute on. But if you're less than 50 million in revenue, you don't have enough people to go and execute on all of those ideas. So what I've been doing for the past several years now has been stepping in and taking all that I've learned in my own business history and helping my customers apply that in theirs. And it's been so significant. And one of our clients went from around 3 million to well over 20 million in revenue within the span of a couple years. Like,
Wow.
that's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's like unicorn kind of stuff, and it's nothing special. Like, it's boring business. One of my dear friend and a director of revenue for Good Agency, he says this all the time: good business is boring. And It's not the flashy metrics or anything like that. No, it's just good process, good rhythms, good accountability, and that's what this book is all about, is bringing that. So
I love that. And I love the idea of good business is boring. You have a podcast called Good Business, Good Agency, which I love because I think the name is. I know y'all have a good. I'll let you share your for good. What led to the name? I also think of Ron Swanson of just the simple, what is like the Good Building Company or whatever. It's just like,
yes,
hey, we do
exactly.
good work, very simple. But yeah, good business is boring. I've had people ask me. I spent over a decade with Chick-fil-A, and people ask me, what's Chick-fil-A's secret to success? And I'm like, well, they hire really good people, and they try to exceed expectations on the work they do, and they try to treat others with kindness and care.
Mm,
And I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just like, it sounds boring. There is
yeah,
no secret like, oh, there's a few maybe contractual things, but
yeah,
that's really it. It's good people doing good work. And uh I think everyone in an age where people want to go viral and like, oh, I want to go do this, like, hey, what if you just do really good work for people and exceed their expectation, the little things. I think that's boring, right? I
yeah,
think and that's what the book's about. So velocity, yeah, I hear you talk about fractional revenue officer, sales. It goes beyond that though. How your framework, heart, heading, hustle kind of breaks down. Is that in order, right?
yeah.
As you
Hard
go
heading
through, so
hustle.
heart, heading, hustle,
Yeah,
starting there. How is that related to sales? Because it sounds like the book
yeah.
goes beyond sales, or is it all related to increasing revenue?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality is if you don't have all of those components, you will not increase revenue. You'll be spinning your wheels. Man, I've been impacted by so many authors and business leaders over the years. I love what Donald Miller has done with the story brand framework. I love what Gino Wickman did with the entrepreneur operating system. I love all of Patrick Lencioni's stuff. I mean, there's this book called The Advantage,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about what you just said. It was, you got to have smart people and you've got to have good people. You've got to have people with good character and you've got to have people who are competent. You can't have
Yep.
one, because I mean, naturally, I'm kind of a bleeding heart. I'll be like, I love this person's heart. I love their character.
Yeah.
But if that's all you have, that's not enough. Like, you've got to be actually competent and good at what you do to actually be successful. And I love what Pat said in that book Advantage about that. But the thing is, like, the reason why heart, heading, hustle are so essential to increasing revenue is because they actually follow the healthy trajectory of a business. It's heart is all about culture. Heading is always all about your, not just vision, but the strategy on how you're going to execute that vision. And then hustle is that relentless discipline. So I've broken down heart. It's all about your culture, your people, the people you work with, and the people you work for. It's your
Mm.
values, it's your mission, your purpose, cause, or passion if you're an EOS person. It's your leadership team, it's your ruthless elimination of toxins, and your passionate dedication to values. It's about more than money. And without it, my opinion is you are a soulless, money gobbling zombie company.
Yeah.
That is what you turn into without having the heart. And when that is true, it's what happens with PE companies, and why PE companies have a bad rap is because they are soulless, lifeless, money gobbling zombie companies. They come, they devour like a swarm of locusts, and they leave a shell of a company. I mean, PE companies don't make money off of the company that they buy. They make company off, or they make money off of the fees that they charge to that company. I mean, that's an entirely different podcast. But like that is so essential to have your heart, your core set in stone, because if without that, your heading will be off, your hustle will be off. So that's the heart. The heading is your vision and it's your organization. It's your trajectory that you're on. It's the functions of the business. It's the how we do things, not the what. It's your process. It's your execution plan. It's your 10-year, 3-year, 1-year plan. And it isn't just a pipe dream that most visionaries bring to the table, but it's a data driven, formulated strategy. And that's the, I mean, you can see in this book. I mean, granted, I gave pretty decent spacing and margins in here so you can write stuff down, but it is a
Yeah.
thick book.
Yeah.
But and my editor actually said, "Hey, you could break this up into 3 books," and I was like, "No, we're gonna do one." But the reason is you've got to have it all combined. Otherwise, if you just read heading or if you just read heart, you're missing it out. And then once you have that heading in place and you have not just the strategy on how, or not just the vision on what you're doing, but the strategy on how you're going to execute on it, you move into hustle. And that's your relentless discipline. It's your daily, your weekly, even your monthly and quarterly rhythms. It's your data driven flag in the wind that tells you how to pivot and adjust as you scale this mountain of business. It's your rally cry. It's the battle flag that you take in every single day when you're rallying your troops to go in and win the battle. It's the lifeblood of this body, this heart culture that you've built, and it can't be neglected and should never be forgotten. And I think there are so many different personality types in running businesses, and I think they're all amazing. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. I am a heavy I on the working genius with kind of this weird confusion because I take it every now and then. Sometimes I'll be a galvanizer with a competency in oh gosh, I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. But anyway, all that to be said,
That's okay.
normally I'm IG, but it really just depends. The thing is, anybody can run a company as long as you have these 3 things in place. It just depends on, or your personality will just determine what your Achilles heel is. And so what my goal is in coaching business owners is to just say, hey, let's have the right structure in place, and I will show you how to hold your team accountable and hold yourself accountable, because I think that's where most businesses stall out, is the lack of accountability, and that's what velocity is all about. Anyway, that's this book.
There you
I love it.
go.
I love it. And it's
Go
helped a
ahead
lot
and
of
buy
business
it.
owners. It's helped my own. So
I love that. I want to start with heart. This is where I think I spend the majority of my time with my business, is helping this area of businesses as you've described it. Okay, something you mentioned I think is really interesting. You talk about, you're a business owner, you've bought and sold, or you've owned businesses, sold them, you worked with a lot of people, you love their heart, right? But then maybe they're not a good fit
mm,
because they're not competent, they're not good at their job. I've worked for people who have struggled with this. I tend to be on the opposite end of the spectrum of when I'm not watching. I care about people's heart, but I'm very black and white of like, if you're not doing a good job, that's got to go. But I
mm,
think too, just transparently, as a Christian, I've struggled with this, right? And I know you're a Christian business owner, as am I, and I've struggled with this idea of, man, they're a good person. This is their job. It's providing food for their family, like
yeah,
whatever it might be. Of, I care about this person. How do you balance that in this hard area? Because you have an opportunity as a business owner to provide, like funding someone's life, right?
yeah,
And providing a job for someone's family. And how do you work through when they're just not performing,
yeah,
especially as a Christian business owner? Because I think that's really, really tough.
yeah, yeah. Well, so to unpack that, I mean, we could spend the entire rest of our time together.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Here's the reality: when you're holding them accountable, then it's not your fault if they get fired.
Mm,
And I think most business owners feel guilt when that happens. Here's how you can avoid that guilt. Here's how you can avoid the guilt of firing someone. You hold them accountable by not just doing quarterly reviews. I think that's a waste of time personally. I love EOS, but I think that's a big miss because quarterly is very lagging measures.
yes.
It's your responsibility as the leader of your organization to coach your team to success. You had, I mean, any of the best coaches in the world show up just for game day and never show up to training. How well do you think that team would perform?
Not well.
They would be the worst team on the planet. And unfortunately, that is how a quarterly review
That's
ends up
good.
being. Is you show up to game day and you get mad at them at the end of the game. Why'd you lose the game? Well, you didn't enable them. And so in that hustle rhythm of that relentless discipline, this is what I struggle with. I do not have tenacity as a working genius. It is a working frustration for me. So I have to work extra hard to maintain that discipline because I'm an artist. Literally, I love making movies. Like I'm an artist.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense why I've been successful in business because I was, according to all rights, I was supposed to be the starving artist of the family. I had my older brother's military. My younger brother is a successful law enforcement officer and paramedic. And my sister, she married to a pastor. So I was supposed to be the starving artist of the four kids, but I didn't fit that mold because I refuse to not hold myself accountable.
It's good.
And I want my leadership team to hold me accountable as well. And I have some really tough calls with my leadership team where they say, "Hey, you're really dropping the ball right now." And that's the heart section is making sure you are in the right spot. But to avoid that fear of saying, "Hey, I have to let this person go." If you move to monthly scorecard reviews where you have outlined their job description, most people don't even have job descriptions written down. But if you
You're
have
right.
job descriptions written down, they can't just be what you send to them when the job starts and you never touch them again. It has
That's
to be
right.
a list of responsibilities that they're held accountable for and a list of competencies that they need to have. And you're going to have them self eval every single month, and then you're going to tell them if they're right or wrong. It's a test. And then you're going to give them feedback on how they're holding to core values. And you're going to hold them accountable to the mission that they wrote for themselves as it relates to that job. And when you do that, when you hold them accountable to that on a monthly basis, and you're not just being the nice guy or nice gal that shows up to the meeting, "Oh, you're doing a great job." No, you actually have to tell them the truth. Don't be a liar. Tell them the truth about how they are doing. And when that happens, your team will either one, self select out because they don't want to be held accountable,
That's right.
or two, they will elevate themselves and rise to the challenge, or three, you will see they are not up for it. And so it's not going to be 6 months before you know you have to fire them. It's going to be on month two when they're failing. And sometimes they don't even make it to month two. If you've given them very clear instructions on, "Hey, don't do this ever again," and they do it again, well, it's not your fault. It's theirs. You are not responsible for their decisions. You can't control them. You are responsible to honor your commitment to them, to pay them for a job well done. And that's it.
I love that. And I like the someone else said on the podcast recently, Dusty Holcomb, he said that accountability is the honoring of agreements, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
feedback is out of I'm honoring that I was gonna, that I'm gonna evaluate you often and give you feedback and make sure you're up to performance. And you were honoring that you said you were gonna do these things. And that's all it
Yeah.
is. It's it doesn't have to be complicated.
100%. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that it's not a surprise, right? They're not getting a surprise firing when you're giving feedback that often. This is like the fourth or fifth time they've heard that they're doing a bad job. They know it's coming. It's not this. Well, man, I was told I was I was doing a good job for the last 3 months, and all of a sudden I got fired.
Yeah.
Um, that's the worst.
Yeah. Well,
With this
and it's not,
system, you avoid that.
yeah, it's not HR's job to coach your team. It's your job
That's
to coach
right.
your team, or
That's
your
good.
manager who's responsible. I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of different approaches on how many people you will manage. I would say 5 to 7 is kind of the max. If you're managing more than that, you're not going to be able to serve those people well. If they're full timers, if they're part timers, this is a different story. But you need to have enough management structure to be able to coach your team well, and that will ensure you're not. I mean, if you have 30 people on staff and you're having to do monthly reviews for all 30 people, guess where your entire days are every single day of the month? I mean, it's not good. But yeah, all of that we go into in the book. And it's one of the things that we haven't talked about yet on the heart side, that the feedback I've gotten from the people I've shared the book with already before we even published was the culture audit, where it's a exercise in the book that
Cool.
will help you understand whether or not you have toxins in your culture that you need to weed out. And I think that's another way to identify as you're getting going before you even move into the hustle section where you're doing those monthly scorecards. But you'll be able to identify if you've got toxins, you got to weed out immediately. I mean, one of my clients, he acquired a company, and day two, I think, when I stepped in and I met with their leadership team, I said, "Hey, Bill, I think you're going to have to fire the entire leadership team from the C level." I mean, we're talking about a big software company, the entire C level team. You're going to have to fire them. And we started working through that process, and Bill ended up firing the entire C-level
Wow.
team because of how toxic that culture was. And as soon as he did, boom, the company just shot up. So anyway, that's that's why heart is so important.
Yeah, no, gosh, I
Yeah.
feel like I could talk for an hour just on this section. I
Yeah.
have a quick question. Does the heart also help you identify the right customers, not just the right team?
Yeah, we do more of that in the headings
Okay.
section,
Okay.
but in the heart, we talk about your core values and who you want to be seen as.
Yeah.
What is your purpose? Like at Good Agency, our mission is to impact the world for good, and we don't just leave it there. We actually explain how we're going to do that. We do it by investing in our team, and that means us pouring into their leadership skills, into them personally, making sure we're paying them appropriately. And then we invest in our own growth because we can't do the other thing without our own growth. And then we invest in the world. And that includes working with, like, I'm a Christian. And so I believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven. And it was because of the amazing work that he did on the cross and when he rose from the dead. And so that's a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
And so it's part of my mission as the business owner. I get to choose where that mission is. And so it's part of our mission to make sure that no matter how big we grow, we're always working with organizations, no matter how small they are, that are actively impacting the world for the gospel and sharing the gospel to the nations. And we also work with nonprofits that are actively fighting human trafficking, and not
Very
just human
cool.
trafficking over there, but human trafficking right in our own backyard. And so those are all ways that we're impacting the world for good. And that's going to be what attracts the clients to us. But in the heading section, we don't identify the ICP, the ideal customer profile. I think that's actually a really bad exercise. I have an exercise that I do called the favorite customer profile. We're in a world of AI where you can hyper focus based off of SEO alone. I mean, people aren't going to Google anymore. They're going to ChatGPT, and they're going to Perplexity, and they're going to Claude, and they're saying, hey, what's the best marketing agency in Texas? And also, I want to work with an agency that has good values and integrity and has good reviews and cares about people. I mean, you get to ask those questions of AI these days. And if you do a good job in communicating that, they will find you and you'll be able to pair well with the exact customer who wants exactly what you have to offer. And that happens for us. I mean, we have people reaching out to us because they found us on ChatGPT and wanted to work with a StoryBrand certified agency that is led by Christian values and wants to impact the world for good. I mean, literally, we've had people reach out through ChatGPT because of that. So, like, heart dictates that. Heading helps you identify it. So,
I like that. Heading helps identify, and I like that it's data driven too, right? What are some of those key data points you are using to drive decision making in the heading?
okay, so that's a really good question. I actually had dinner with one of my direct reports for a company that I'm a fractional revenue executive for. I had dinner with him last night, and he's a very fiery gentleman, and probably double my age. So it always just feels very uncomfortable when I have these conversations. But it was valuable because he was ranting about, oh, vision is so bad, it's not good for the organization because it's selfish. And I was like, you're absolutely right. If you just, as a visionary, show up and say, we're going to be $100 million company, and you don't tell them how you're going to make that happen, that is selfish and it's childish. It's like, all right, so you're going to burn all these people out, and you're going to impact their health physically, their relational health with their families, because you just said we're going to hit $100 million. Really? That's your plan? No, no, no. Heading is all about working backwards to see where you are today, what is working, what's not working, and what needs to be improved. And if you do, this is what's going to happen. There's something called the velocity flywheel. It's a framework that we have in the heading section, and it's 7 key parts of that have to be functioning for you to be able to gain momentum, increase that velocity. And it's all about looking at historical data. It's all about taking what you have done successfully and amplifying the success. That's why one of the very first things we do is we identify our favorite customer profile. I mean, we all have the clients, whether you're a service based business or a product based business. We have the clients we love and we have the clients we do not love. The clients we do not love are often Unfortunately, the clients that pay us a lot of money, and that's why they're still our clients. The clients that we do love hopefully pay us a lot of money, and we need to figure out what is it about that client that we love.
That's right.
And we're in a world where we can hyper focus and hyper target our favorite customer profile. So why are we just saying we're going to go for any business that has breath in its lungs in the city of Houston? Like, that's a bad strategy.
Whoever can afford to pay us.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a good strategy. Money is a terrible goal. And so it's all about leveraging the data that you have. And one thing that I will just dispel, this book is not for startups. There's probably some wisdom you can gain from it, but it's not you're not going to get velocity unless you have traction. And that is a shout out to my one of my favorite books by Gino Wickman, Traction. Velocity comes after this, after what comes in the EOS framework. This is really designed for businesses that are a million plus, and it's because you've proven a product. If you haven't proven your product yet, this will not work. Heading will not work because you need to know who your favorite customer is, and it can't
You got to
just
have the
be
data.
I like the idea of working with this customer. It has to be you've actually successfully served that
Right.
customer. So yeah, maybe you're 900,000, maybe you're 500,000, and you might be here where you can use this, but it's not good for a startup. You've got to have a, a business coach and a business strategy in place first. But yeah, I mean, when you have the data there, you just zero in on it, and that's what the heading section is all about. I wish I could go into more detail there, but
Yeah.
you know what works. You look at it, you see what works, and you just amplify that. And the heading section shows you how to do that.
And then you've got hustle,
Yep,
relentless discipline, which I
yep.
love. Like, this is the execution. You said rallying the troops, which is it's like galvanizing is one of my working frustrations. And I just wish people would just, all right, I've set what the goal is. Just
Yeah.
just go do it. But what type of systems have you seen get the largest return on investment when it comes to hustle?
Well, this is where all of that investment starts to pay off. So,
There you
heart
go.
and heading, you will see some changes in your business. I mean, case in point, when heart was adjusted in that software company, instantly the company started to thrive because it wasn't throttled by a toxic culture.
Right.
And then in the heading, if you can zero in on the right direction, even if you're not moving fast, you're going to get there. Hustle, it's the motor to the boat. I mean, it is
Yeah.
here's how we're going to do it. And so when I look at businesses that have seen the ROI, I sat down with that paving company I talked about earlier, who they grew from 3 to $20 million plus business within a few very short years. And I asked them, I said, as I was writing the book, I was like, Reese, Henry, guys, tell me, what do you think was the reason for the growth that we've had over the past 2 years? And they like instantaneously said, it's the system that we've been following. And that's what hustle is all about. It's the daily, the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, the daily rhythm of communicating well with your team and holding accountable to what they are supposed to do. Now, when we get into hustle, we focus more on revenue generation, but the principles apply to the operations team just as much as they apply to the finance team. But in the book, we talk about revenue generation and ultimately profit. But that relentless discipline on maintaining consistent rhythms so that when issues come up, you can address them quickly. There is no framework new under the sun. You can take from EOS, you can take from Michael Hyatt, you can take from all of these guys.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So, I mean, this is nothing new. It's simply just bottled up into what I've learned and works. There are certain elements that need to be adjusted from other frameworks, and that's what I go into. But here's what happens: your team stays longer, meaning they don't wash out. It's very expensive to lose a team member
Yeah.
because you end up having to train. You lose momentum. You're pedaling uphill in business, and if you lose a team member, that bike starts to fly backwards. And so you lose a lot of momentum every single time you lose a team member. And so we focus a lot on making sure that there's retention of your team, incentivization of your team appropriately, setting good goals, and when that happens, that's what the ROI is. Uh, on one of the episodes of Good Business, I brought on one of the FREs in our program, fractional revenue executives, who I've trained. His name's Casey Baker. And he said in his experience, he's seen 40 to 50x return on investment.
Wow.
And I would say, I mean, the numbers are stupid is probably the best way to put it. Because if I were to say what the numbers actually were, you would not believe me. And that's not a Trumpism. That's a truth.
Yeah.
So it's truly, if you can engage your system on a consistent basis and you're going in the right direction with the right people in tow, then you will grow. It's not a matter of if, you will grow and you will break past the ceilings that most people find. In the hustle section, and it kind of blended with a heading, one of the things that I focus on is how to get the founder out of sales. I'm not in sales, except for when I get a referral and someone calls me up and I'll be like, you should talk to Luke. But when you can get the founder, the visionary, the integrator, the people who are leading the company, get them out of sales, and you turn that into a repeatable process, everything starts to make a lot more sense. And when we've done that consistently for all of the businesses that we partner with and nonprofits as well, when we get the founder out of donor relations on a nonprofit, when we get the CEO out of the sales calls, you will see growth because you're going to have a team that is fully dedicated. There's a prospect I'm talking to right now, and he's been stuck at roughly 4 to 5 million a year for a long time. And he and I've been having calls, and he's afraid to pull the trigger right now because it's a big investment to bring on someone and say, hey, I'm going to give you the authority and the responsibility to make decisions for my organization. That's terrifying. The issue is, though, or not the issue, the good thing for him is going to be when that happens, the low hanging fruit for him is, I mean, I literally tried to do business with this company. And he said, oh, yeah, I got you covered, man. Let me meet on your property. He's in the construction space. Let me meet on your property and I'll see you tomorrow. Crickets, doesn't show up. And I was going to do a $40,000, $50,000 project on my property with him. And it's because he's stretched so thin, he's missing out on so much revenue.
Yeah.
And so, but he's naturally, I think one of the biggest struggles that founders and visionaries have is fear. It's fear of failure, fear of, oh, what if they don't do it the way I do it? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to keep on getting what you're getting. And so
that's right.
With the ROI on implementing this framework, it is dramatic because it's going to break you past the bottlenecks that normally hold the company back.
Yeah.
I took everything that I've learned and put it in this book. I'm already working on my second book because
I love it.
There's so much more to share as we dive into each of these sections. If you guys go and execute on this velocity framework, then I know without a shadow of a doubt, you will grow. There you
Clay,
go.
if there's one major takeaway you would want people to have after reading the book or listening to this conversation, what would it be?
Man. Okay, well, let me just tie it back to the content of this podcast of what you do here, Jacob, and you do business coaching. You specifically help coach coach the team members at organizations, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you do. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to tie the answer to that question back to the purpose of this podcast. The big takeaway is be intentional with your team, be consistent with your team, and coach them to success. If you go to velocityframework.com, which is different from the book, there are templates there that there's actually a scorecard template that I use to coach my team members, anyone that is a direct report to me. And it'll show you what it looks like to walk through a 30-minute coaching session. And when you do that with your team, or maybe you hire a business coach to come do that too. Hire Jacob. He's brilliant. But when you do that, you will absolutely see success. And this is the area that I think most business owners struggle with. So this is the main takeaway I want you to have from today is invest in your team, not just by paying them well. Invest in your team, not just by showing up and giving them clear vision, but invest in your team by coaching them to greatness.
I love it. I love that, Clay. Clay, where can people connect with you, buy your book? I'll link it all below, but where can people do that?
Well, you can just Google Clay Vaughan, and there's
There you
one
go.
other guy. He's a lawyer. He's a great guy, I'm sure, but
Not you.
go to clayvaughan.com. You can go to velocitybook.com. You can go to velocityframework.com. Find me on LinkedIn, DM me. Would love to follow you and would love to support you. And then I've got my agency as well, goodagency.com. We are on a mission to impact the world for good, and we partnered with mission-minded organizations that are equally wanting to do more than just be a money-gobbling zombie company. So if you want to make a lot of money and you want to have a heart in your business, we'd love to help you. So yeah, that's how you can connect. Would love to stay connected with y'all.
Clay, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you
Honor.
to everyone for watching and listening to this episode of Waves Business Coaching. Have a great week. Take care.